that there may or may not be an echo. I got the audio in my headset later in the morning. You know, when I'm home alone, I will put the audio out of the headset and it will be perfectly fine. So this stream may encounter, what do you call it? Echo. So, my bad. Anyway, we're just talking about, or doing a stream kind of about how Hunk is just a complete god, bro. He's just a badass, man. Like, there's just no way around it. So anyway, and we're doing this on hard mode as well. We've attained a godlike power. Our MP5 is a little bit outdated. But this thing still kicks ass. My real concern here is, do we have enough ammo to really make it all the way through? I mean, like, if not, I mean, I have my solutions. As you guys can clearly see, we have plenty of ammo here with 400 rounds and more than enough munition to lay waste to everything in front of us currently. Wow. I gotta say, guys, that's some pretty goddamn shit. We bought our first Samurai's Edge. I found my second one. I found my first P10, I think is the name of the pistol in the game. Anyway, so all the way down to the bottom. Reduce shotgun spread. Increase bullet hit zone. Fires 2 shots at once. Increase the hit zone. You find a stronger level MPAF, and you get me like a level 20 variation to get boosted damage and more capacity. Go here to the store, purchase Elite Killer. Here we go. Increase assault rifle to max allowed. Wonder how much capacity I can hold now with my weapons. My main missions. Let's do number 1 again. On very hard. There is by no doubt me failing. I don't see a difference in max ammo for pistols allowed. I see that I can hold it to 80. Yeah, I'm not seeing too much of a difference here. It looks about the same. In my opinion. I pop him. And what I'm going to do around this corner, I'm going to lure him forward. Blast off the legs. And if he dies, he dies. Famous quote from Ivan Drago from our Rocky 4. There we go. See me knife the corpse on accident? That's because I'm trying to perform an execution. There we go. Here's a possible weapon. Okay. Oh shit. Okay, I gotta back up a little bit. Womp, womp, womp. Get finished. Can't stop the hunk, man. You can't kill death. Or death cannot die. I'd say he's probably the best Resident Evil survivor. His ability to just survive is just amazing. No herb and genocide. We got all but a wee Magnum. Part of me kind of wants to become a Magnum specialist in this game, and start using Magnums, but I realize now that the Magnum ammo shortage is going to be a real problem, a real pain in the ass. But the trade-off is I'll be able to take out huge enemies really quickly, but I figured that probably just keep playing how I am, because it hasn't really failed yet, hasn't failed me yet. Or at least hasn't failed me too bad, yeah. I have the High Roller Supersonic AK, with this, well, Sonic Assisted AK. Level 20. I have a level 21 Magnum 2005M. This really goofy, the Pale Rider. This thing is just goofy looking, to be honest. The Magnum Python. This kind of reminds me of the Silver Serpent that Barry Burton uses without the wooden handle. The NSR-47 Assault Rifle, aka basically an M4 carbine. It's a pretty good version of it. It's got a 450 damage output, which is pretty solid, pretty chunky, compared to this pretty solid, what's it called, pretty nice little 716 damage output on this thing, which is pretty high, and just the fact that I put a 2-round burst on this, gives this thing pretty mild recoil capability of absorption. So I mean, this is I can roll with this. I can show you guys what this looks like. It is an actual golded skin for an AK, and it looks rather nice. Yeah, this is kind of a, I guess you could call it a rare item. And same thing with the Pale Rider. I don't know how rare of an item this is, but I don't see this in the store very often. This thing just looks goofy. This thing is just retarded how long the barrel is. So, a matter of fact, let's just go ahead, let's look at this. Let's put a damage mod on that and see. 8,200. Homing ammo. That's doing way too much. Let's try it out. Thing only has 2 shots and 12 rounds in total as far as total ammo goes, which is weird because this thing has a 6-shot cylinder and it only has 2 rounds. I don't understand. This thing literally one-hit kills. I cannot make this shit up. This thing is insane. So if we do the... I don't see how somebody can actually wield this in real life. Thing actually performs rather well. The Pale Rider is just high damage output. Good penetration capabilities if they get lined up. And good little lineup right there. This thing only had 3 rounds instead of just the 1 or just the 2. I think this would be a lot more useful. Maybe there's a variant out there with more mags. I could really low-key kind of see what's it called? I don't know, man. If this thing had a more capacity and rounds to work with, I think it would be a lot more versatile. And if it had a faster reload speed, I think it would be much more versatile. But I mean, apart from that, I mean, everything else kind of works rather well. Everything but my SMG, it's just how do you say, it's just underleveled for the time being for this. As for the Pale Rider, it does work. If only it did more damage output, or rather actually focus its efforts on having a 4-round capacity and giving us a really quick reload, would have actually made this thing a really unique weapon. But unfortunately it lacks the performance stats to do it. It has the damage stats. I can see large enemies becoming your bitch. I mean, the thing's a god tier weapon. Secondly, if I had more ammo to work with, I think this thing would be just powerful. Especially having a quicker reload speed. I can get the Magnum expert in actually running an entire full tier skill with it, and actually making this thing more viable and using more standardly. So, I mean, I will consider this for the future. Maybe finding a better version of it with a slightly higher capacity. If only it had 4 to 3 rounds and everything else I had mentioned, it would also be very good. It just also has very slow firing speeds. So getting slightly faster firing speed would be useful, but you don't need that much of firing speed considering how much damage an enemy's taking. It's going to blow them back almost instantly, if not stun them or frame lock them for a couple of seconds. Enough to let the second shot hit them and pretty much ensure their death. If it took more than 1 shot or more than 2 shots, then you're not using a Pale Rider, or whatever the fuck the weapon's called. Because, to be honest, it shouldn't take more than 1 shot. And if it does, there's a second one on standby. I mean, if so, I mean, really, in the situation, you could just get yourself like a damage 3 stat, and then just like
add 200 more damage to your weapon. Not that it would add enough like killing blow power, but that coupled with the amount of damage, it's already doing 8,000 damage if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's doing 8,000 damage, so adding 291 to it, I don't know. Also, secondly, if it let us put more parts on there, I would put a firing speed part on there, so it would let me fire a lot quicker and make this thing a little bit more versatile and more conventional combat. You know, and so getting the Magnum expert skills, I'll show you. Go to skills, you go to passive, and then you click on it, and you go over here. Magnum Master improves Magnum functionality, increases capacity by 119%. That's being your overall amount of Magnum ammo you can hold. Reload speed is increased by 100%. That, coupled with a faster fire rate, would give it the amount of performance it truly needs to excel in this situation. Which would actually make it a lot more viable and a lot more god tier, because you'd be able to reload it extremely, well, faster, and you would be able to use it in a tight pinch if needed. But also, it makes it a lot more conventional for just against regular enemies. But in Resident Evil fashion, you should never use a Magnum against regular enemies. I shall do more tests later. The Samurai's Edge for now makes a great pistol. For one, this Samurai's Edge has 10 round capacity. I think I had a normal of 8 rounds, but I had an extended mag attachment put onto it or something. Or maybe it did come with 10 rounds. Regardless, this thing also has up to like an 80 round capacity, I think. Like 80 round overall like ammo hold on it. So I mean 80 rounds, that's plus the 10 rounds you start with, that's about 90 rounds you got there. Almost 100 rounds. I kind of wish it was 120 rounds we had to work with in our spare, and 10 rounds or even 12 rounds in our mag. Would make it a bit more useful. Granted, it has really high damage output. Though to be honest, we have the great firing rate and the good capacity to thank it for its high DPS. Considering this thing can go into the 2,000 damage range in 4 shots. So, considering that, I mean, you really don't need much. Only an improved Samurai's Edge could really surpass the Samurai's Edge, I think. So going to the store and purchasing one, if you are rare or lucky enough to occur one, anti-material rifle. We will do tests on that. I don't see much of a difference. This is still 80, this is still 40, this is still 240. Equip parts. This thing also deals 13,000 damage, so granted, if this, we're running some damage tests on this. Hunk, being Hunk, also gains sniper rifle mastery, so I could really do something with this. The only mastery he doesn't have is handgun mastery, which I was surprised, because I would imagine that the handgun mastery would be really overpowered when coupled with the beautiful Samurai's Edge. I mean, considering that I can get a completely higher amount of ammo to work with would also make the Samurai's Edge a lot more useful. And getting an extremely fast reload on an already decently quick reload time would literally make the thing a lifesaver and a heartbreaker. But he does have the machine pistol mastery, which is going to make it a lot easier to use SMGs, like the this MP5 of mine. As I think the maximum overall capacity this thing holds is 240, yep. 240 plus whatever's in the mag. So by increasing that to be much higher, maybe into the 300-400 range, maybe, in the 380 range, I'd have way more ammo than what's necessary to basically shred down little enemies with it, weaken them with the shotgun, and then finish them off with the SMG. I mean, that could be a double combo thing, but it's unnecessary. Alright, we're gonna do some damage tests with this, this unholy of just straight damage. Really hope one day I find a 1,380 damaged Samurai's Edge and then just put a high, like a level 3 damage mod onto it. That thing's gonna end up doing mass damage. Alright guys, let's move in. This thing's obliterated. So this thing's a one shot, one kill. You don't need to put a damage mod onto this, all you need to do is add a firing speed to it. We're out of ammo. So it looked like it one-shot these things. We gave up for a few reasons. We just don't have enough ammo to do tests, but it did one-shot that monster on normal mode. When I unlock that mission in hard mode, we'll do damage tests on it. I'm sure that if I put a damage 5 mod onto it, or damage 4, I'm sure it would almost one-shot everything in the game. Considering getting the mastery for it, getting the faster reload speeds and better times and stuff like that, getting faster fire rates, I think that would be an unholy Widowmaker. I mean, considering that it boasts a much higher percentage of damage than this, and this is relatively high amounts. If what even is it? Equip parts. If this is only 3. If 291 is 3% of damage output. If we were to do the correct math, okay, I gotta do some math in my head. Okay. Hold on, let's slow it down a little bit. 3% of that is that. 3% of 13,700. Okay, let's think. It would be like 412, maybe 413%. Not percent, well, number-wise. So it'd be 412 or 414, 413. It's in that range, right? You know, whatever. Anyway, you're gonna get up to a 400 bonus. So if we calculate that, so we'll be doing 14,100 and something. Uh, 14,188, I think. Depends on the number of percentage. I don't know if it's right or wrong. I think that's a number. Granted, that's literally 1,000 points of damage as addition. So if you find like a class 3 where it's 9%, I mean we're talking a couple thousand points there of additional damage. That's just DPS, bro. That's that's straight damage. You don't need DPS, dude. That's straight damage. If they had explosive rounds, I bet you could add that to this anti-material rifle. This thing's just overpowered and I love it. It's got room for 3 parts right now, so what I would do, I don't need to get the quick load skill because I would get that with my mastery, but I would get the fire rate level 3, fire rate level 3, damage level 3, and I would add the final shots, so that the last shot in the mag is a guaranteed 1 shot. And I say 1 shot because 46% of 14,000. Think about that for a second. If 3% is like 700 points of damage, consider that you'd also be adding the 9 to like 13% additional damage from like the level 3 damage mod or whatever it is that you'll be running with it. So it's like it's 46. So we'll say 40 to make it a little easier. I'm not going to do the 6%. I'm doing way too much math than what's necessary. That's like 5,500 almost. So you would get basically 17,000. That's almost adding, if you calculate the 775 plus the 500, that's an additional 1,000 point of damage, 1,000 whatever's left, plus the 4,000. So that's 5,000. So 5 plus 3 is 7. Or no, 8. Which is the exact amount of damage this was. And this thing one-shots things. So that would make this thing on the last shot, and the capacity is 5. If we were to somehow get a 1-round capacity version of this, every shot for that matter, then we'd have to put the ultra-fast load. But that won't matter because we'll reload it extremely quickly. I mean, and there are options. I would prefer a 1-shot mag for that, just for that perk alone, but that's just me. Anyway guys, I think that's gonna be it for today. I think I'm gonna get off, and I think I'm gonna play some Borderlands, because this is really reminding me of Borderlands, the Borderlands stretch. So yeah, I'm gonna go do that. See you guys in the next one. Peace. Actually, before I go, just want to announce one thing. You see, pretty much we've hit a all-time high standard for my channel. I just wanted to announce this and say how grateful and thankful that I am. On one of my YouTube, one of my shorts, you guys could watch the video. It is called A True Classic Never Dies, or something along those lines. And basically, what it is it's me showing or displaying my Payday 2 for PS3 next to my Payday 2 for PS4. Basically, it's all around pretty cool, right? Very simple. It's got the Vines playing in the background if you guys know the band. The thing's got 688 views, which is the highest amount of views I've ever gotten. which gives me a lot of inspiration to make more videos. I hope you guys genuinely enjoy the amount of content I'm putting out. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know, you know, my favorite character in Resident Evil is Hunk, and I'll do an entire video dedicated to why Hunk is my favorite character. You know, and I'll tell you about the games that he appears in, and kind of why I like Hunk. Hunk is, he's pretty cool, man. He appears as the 4th survivor in RE2. And in the RE2 remake, I did a video, if you guys are a big fan of RE2 remake, rather than Resident Evil Revelations, Resident Evil 6. If you guys aren't the big action Resident Evil fans, hey, I get that. And it makes sense. I'm not a big fan of them either, but I still like them. I just have to, they're Resident Evil games. Even 6, though I must say, if Hunk was a character in 6 and had his own little campaign, I think I would actually like the game a lot more. That, and that they actually made Chris Redfield and Leon much better characters. I also kind of wish that they expanded upon a lot of the lore and a lot of the extra backstory with the game, and also added more survival horror sequences and focused a little bit less on the action. Still a good amount of action, and they should have made Simmons a slightly better enemy, maybe even adding Wesker back, or sort of doing things behind the scenes. I think that would have made the game so much better. I also think it would have been cool if Jill Valentine was in the game instead of Pierce. They took away the character completely. But that's just me. I think that Resident Evil 6 had a lot of opportunity and had a lot to live up to, and I think Capcom tried to do new things, and there's nothing wrong with that. The only problem comes to be the new thing that they're doing is really bad. That's the only time where it really failed. See, Resident Evil, I can go for hours about Resident Evil, but it's so great. I'm going to make another video about it later today. For me, it's 5:10 in the morning, and I'm rambling about Resident Evil. I'm way too tired, way too out of it, way too worn out, and I'm really hungry, so I'm going to go make me some English muffins and crash. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully this has been a pleasant experience for you guys. And until next time, stay cool.